issue of fuel subsidy removal is a debate that will continue to elicit reactions from Nigerians until we begin to see the government intervention that has been talked about that is expected to cushion the effect of this removal. Just yesterday, the president met oil marketers in the country seeking solution to the effect of the removal. As part of the resolution, the president directed the National Economic Council, headed by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, to propose interventions on the subsidy removal. I'm joined now by public relations expert Jide Ologun for more on this conversation. Mr. Ologun, good to see you again. Let's begin with how you think the Tinubu government is faring in its public relations as it regards the removal of fuel subsidy. Would you say that government is communicating enough with the Nigerian people in this regard?
Thank you very much for that brilliant question. So from what we have monitored so far, let's start from the stakeholders' engagement. It's quite interesting that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed, good professional engagement, even getting all the governors in the country to queue behind that decision to remove fuel subsidy. Some would have expected that the governors who are in opposition parties may not be in support, and that means he has been able to sell the message, the intention to them. And don't forget that back in time, he himself was mobile, so he's quite conversant with the mathematics and the economics of the oil and gas. And again, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC suspended their strike over the fuel subsidy, and they said that they are doing that because they intend to meet the federal government again on June 19, 2023 to agree on implementation framework. And you can see, for instance, that in some parts of the country, some governors are beginning to fall in line by providing palliative measures, particularly not in cash. But for example, in Kwara State, the governor has declared 3-day work in a week, and then in Edo State also. And if you now come back to the oil and gas specifically, you find the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, telling the president that we are behind you in this. And it will amaze Nigerians that some of the issues we have been raising in the past is being echoed again. For instance, Nigeria is reported to have spent, about 2 trillion naira in the first 3 months of 2023. And if that subsidy continues, that would have brought us about 7 trillion naira at the end of the year. And again, if you look at the ripple effect in some neighboring countries, Benin Republic is being forced to adjust the PMS pump price over there because reportedly we have some neighboring countries like Niger, like Sudan, by extension, Somalia, Benin Republic, even Cameroon, feeding fat on the resources of Nigeria, because the revelations we are getting, though not new to some of us, is that after some of the figures for subsidies are inflated here in Nigeria, and these scammers collect the so-called subsidy, they still smuggle these products out of the country to sell. So, and for some of us who have also monitored in the society, citizens are adjusting to this reality. And let me say this, when you mention the word palliative, it means a medicine or form of medical care that relieves symptoms without dealing with the cause of the condition. So we have fundamental problems in Nigeria in our oil and gas that we must deal with. But the elders have a saying that when trees fall upon each other, you first remove the one at the top. And I made reference to the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association. They have also donated about 100 mass transit buses worth about 10 billion reportedly to the federal government to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. So what we expect to see going down the lane is that the economy will adjust, the society will adjust, and we would have succeeded in getting the hands of this cabal.
I hear you, Mr. Ologun. Talking about,
Yes.
adjustment to the new price, we've seen a lot of negotiation going on between the federal government and organized labor. And I want us to just turn our attention to that list of agreement they had a few days ago. Top on the list would be what the minimum wage adjustment, the need to increase just how much the workers collect as salaries. TUC, is asking for as high as 200,000 naira. But this is largely dependent on the cooperation of state governors, because as we speak, some governors have not even paid the 30,000 naira minimum wage. How do you expect governors to, what kind of involvement and engagement do you expect from governors in this regard?
Personally, I do not see the increase in the minimum wage, though it's helpful in helping us to provide sufficient palliative. Maybe you try and ease the transportation and engage the transporters on, achieving that. Because by the time you increase, let's assume now that you increase the minimum wage to 200,000 as demanded. To the market woman who is not in the formal sector, that is increase in dispensable revenue for workers. So what happens? It adds to the inflationary rate that we have in the market. So let's begin to deal with the HR aspect of it. What relief can we bring to the people, in supporting them in the area of transportation? Like I said now, in the area of embarking on this hybrid work situation, which of course some experimented during the COVID-19 lockdown. So there will be a lot of adjustments. And I know that the governor of Kwara State has increased the minimum wage in is it Kwara or Edo State now? Edo State to 40,000 naira as against. Yes. So, and the government should also look at what was available in the country years ago. Talking about price control. You see, it's important. And I think this is the time now to look at the infrastructure we have in the country and diversify, particularly transportation. Again, it's important that the president and his team should look at the energy sector, because I've heard some people comment lately that it's as if electricity supply has improved. So, and don't forget also there are some neighboring countries that will supply electricity. So let's for once focus on delivering good governance to Nigeria. Yeah. And if neighboring countries want to leverage on that, it should not be at a parasitic level.
Indeed.
It will be at a collaborative level. This country is too blessed for us to be where we are.
We shouldn't be excited yet with the power supply, because, you have to remember that it's raining season. We might have to wait to see out across seasons. But I spoke with the group CEO of the NNPC Limited a few days ago, and he was talking about the fact that the retail price of petrol will now be determined by the interplay of market forces. Nigerians don't believe it, because they say when the prices go up in this part of the world, it just do not come down. Are you optimistic that international price will determine how much Nigerians exchange for a liter of petrol?
Absolutely. I'm optimistic. And we have precedents, like you say, in law. Recall that when GSM came into Nigeria, I think a SIM card was about 58,000 naira for those who initially logged in to that device. Today, it's about 100 naira. In fact, some give this SIM card out, as gifts during their parties. All right. So the market forces will bring down the price. And right now, it's beginning to happen. For example, demand for PMS has reduced in Lagos State, for instance. I can speak for Lagos State because many people have parked their vehicles, and that's what I meant by people adjusting. So when the demand, reduces, the marketers also, they have to remain in business. And don't forget, they say necessity is the mother of invention. There are other options that will be available to citizens. But as stated by the president, subsidy is gone. And I know that the most pained stakeholder in this is the cabal that have sat on our resources for so long in this nation. And again, I should bring in the apex regime, talking about the FX regime of the nation. If we have a unified foreign exchange status, it will also help us so that those who also go to the CBN, get dollar at 460 and go to the black market to sell at 750, we no longer have access to that. And NNPC Limited will no longer be the monopolist, only the importing fuel into this country. Marketers will now be able to access funds and import. So I expect, and I'm optimistic, that the market forces will adjust the situation as we go down this lane. And like the wise people say, that no pain, no gain. For decades, governments have been trying to yank off this subsidy, but it appears that those who are the chief priests of the subsidy scam in Nigeria have been so powerful. So for once, let's go ahead and deal with them. And when we now do that, we come back to how to revive our refining capacity, because like I said earlier, palliative is just dealing with the symptoms, not with the fundamental.
And I'm sure the federal government has also, chosen their words carefully. It's perhaps why they have chosen the word intervention. But we'll see how all of this play out in the coming days, particularly the ripple effect that has been promised on the other, aspects of the economy. We're counting on it, and Nigerians are also quite hopeful. Public relations expert Jide Ologun, thank you so much for talking to us on the first 100 days.
Thank you so much, too. God bless Nigeria.